Let me start with a question that might make you uncomfortable. What are you doing today that your future self will have to pay for tomorrow? Because whether you like it or not, time is keeping records. Time is neutral, but its results are not. Time does not care about your excuses, your intentions, or your potential. Time only responds to one thing: discipline. And if you don't control your time, time will eventually control you. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Time doesn't punish people randomly. Time punishes the undisciplined, not immediately, but inevitably. You see, discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Undisciplined people choose comfort today and complain about consequences tomorrow. Disciplined people accept discomfort today and enjoy freedom later. The pain you avoid today will visit you tomorrow with interest. Most people think success is about motivation. It's not. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Discipline shows up when you're tired. Discipline works when nobody is watching. Discipline keeps promises you made to yourself. And when discipline is missing, time starts collecting its debt. Missed opportunities, wasted years, regret, and unrealized potential. Let me give you a hook you should write down. Time rewards consistency and exposes excuses. Every hour you waste is a silent vote for the life you don't want. Every disciplined action, no matter how small, compounds. People underestimate what they can become in 5 years because they overestimate what they can do in 5 minutes. Time doesn't change your life. Your daily decisions do. Undisciplined people blame circumstances. Disciplined people build systems. Undisciplined people wait to feel ready. Disciplined people move while afraid. And here's the part that hurts. Time will eventually remove your options. When you're young, time whispers. When you're older, time shouts. And one day, if you keep ignoring discipline, time stops asking and starts taking another hook for you. Discipline is not restriction, it's protection. It protects your future from your present impulses. It protects your destiny from distractions. The reason successful people look lucky is because discipline positioned them where opportunity could find them. Time didn't favor them. They respected time. Time is neutral. It has no emotions, no opinions, no preferences. It does not wake up in the morning deciding who will win and who will lose. Time treats everyone the same, yet everyone does not end up in the same place. That alone should make you pause. If time gives the same 24 hours to the disciplined and the undisciplined, then the difference in results cannot be time itself. It has to be how time is used. That is a hard truth, but it is also a freeing one because it means your future is not controlled by luck, background, or circumstances, but by your daily relationship with discipline. Here's a hook that shifts perspective. Time doesn't lie, it reveals. It reveals priorities. It reveals patterns. It reveals who was consistent and who was careless. People often say, I don't know where the years went, but time knows exactly where they went. They went into habits. They went into distractions. They went into either discipline or delay. Time simply magnifies whatever you repeatedly give it. Another uncomfortable truth is this: time does not punish you in the moment. It waits. It allows you to feel comfortable while making poor decisions. It lets procrastination feel harmless. It lets excuses feel reasonable. But time is patient, and patience makes its results more severe. What you ignore today shows up later as limitation, regret, or missed opportunity. The bill always comes due, and time never forgets to collect. Think about this hook. Time is the most honest mirror you will ever look into. You can lie to people, you can lie to yourself, but you cannot lie to time. Your results are your reflection. Your bank account, your health, your skills, your mindset. They are all reports generated by how you have managed time over the years. Time didn't create those outcomes. It only exposed what was already there. Discipline is the language time responds to. When you show up consistently, even when it's inconvenient, time begins to work in your favor. Skills compound, confidence compounds, reputation compounds. But when discipline is absent, time compounds the opposite: weakness, delay, and unrealized potential. Time is a multiplier, and the dangerous part is that it multiplies both good and bad habits without discrimination. Here's another hook worth remembering. Time is not your enemy, but it will not be your ally if you disrespect it. Many people blame time for being unfair when in reality they mismanaged it. They say life moved too fast, but the truth is they moved too slow. They waited too long to start. They waited to feel ready. They waited for motivation. Time does not reward waiting. It rewards movement guided by discipline. What makes this so powerful is that discipline doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. You don't need to dominate every day, but you do need to show up every day. Time responds more to repeated effort than to occasional intensity. A disciplined hour every day will outperform an undisciplined week once in a while. Time notices patterns, not promises. Another hook that challenges thinking: time doesn't change people, habits do. Time simply reveals who was willing to do the boring work when no one was watching. It exposes who chose comfort over commitment. And when the results appear, people call it overnight success, not realizing they are looking at years of disciplined use of time finally becoming visible. If you want to know where someone will be in 5 years, you don't need to ask about their dreams. Watch how they treat their time today. Time is neutral, but its results are not. And those results are never accidental. Discipline is not about comfort, it is about choice. It is the decision to accept a small, controlled pain today so you don't suffer a massive, uncontrollable pain tomorrow. Most people don't fail because they choose pain. They fail because they choose the wrong kind. They avoid the discomfort of discipline and unknowingly sign up for the discomfort of regret. And regret always costs more. Here's a hook that reframes everything. You will feel pain either way, but only discipline lets you choose the size and timing of that pain. The pain of discipline is predictable. It's waking up when you don't feel like it. It's doing the work when motivation is silent. It's saying no to distractions that feel good in the moment but steal from your future. This pain is temporary, measurable, and purposeful. The pain of regret, on the other hand, is unpredictable and permanent. It shows up when time has already passed and options have already narrowed. You can't negotiate with regret. You can't outwork missed years. Discipline hurts early. Regret hurts late. And late pain is always heavier. Here's another hook to lock this in. Discipline is a short-term inconvenience that buys long-term freedom. When you choose discipline, you are not punishing yourself. You are protecting yourself. You're protecting your future income from your current impulses. You are protecting your health from your temporary cravings. You are protecting your potential from procrastination. Discipline is not self-denial, it is self-respect. Most people misunderstand discipline because they associate it with restriction. But discipline doesn't take things away, it gives things back. It gives you options, it gives you leverage, it gives you confidence. The person who is disciplined with their time, money, and habits doesn't live a smaller life, they live a more intentional one. The reason undisciplined people feel trapped is because avoiding discipline today creates limitations tomorrow. Here's a hook that cuts deep every shortcut. You take today becomes a setback you face later. Shortcuts feel smart in the moment because they save effort, but they steal progress. Skipping the work doesn't eliminate the cost, it delays it. And delayed costs always come with interest. Discipline pays interest in your favor, shortcuts charge interest against you. Another truth most people ignore is that discipline reduces anxiety. When you know you're doing what needs to be done, peace follows. Stress often isn't caused by pressure, it's caused by avoidance. The things you are running from today become the things that weigh on you tomorrow. Discipline clears mental debt. It removes the constant fear of being unprepared because preparation is happening daily. Here's another hook worth remembering. Discipline is doing what your future self will thank you for. Future success is built by present sacrifice. Every disciplined action is a message sent forward in time saying, I cared enough to prepare. And every undisciplined action sends the opposite message. The future always replies with results. People often wait for motivation to choose discipline, but discipline is what creates motivation. Action generates momentum. Momentum fuels confidence. Confidence reinforces discipline. The cycle starts with a decision, not a feeling. Waiting to feel ready is another way of choosing regret over growth. Discipline is not about being extreme, it is about being consistent. You don't need to suffer unnecessarily, you need to suffer strategically. The pain you choose today determines the pain you avoid tomorrow. And when you finally understand that discipline is the cheaper option, your choices begin to change. Excuses are subtle because they sound intelligent. They sound reasonable. They even sound responsible. But excuses are not explanations. They are delays dressed up as logic. Every excuse pushes a decision into the future, and every delayed decision quietly hands control over to circumstances. Discipline does the opposite. Discipline decides early so life doesn't decide for you. Here's a hook that exposes the cost. Excuses don't stop consequences, they just postpone progress. Most people don't realize that excuses feel productive because they reduce emotional pressure. When you explain why you didn't act, you temporarily feel relieved. But relief is not results. Excuses calm the mind while sabotaging the future. Discipline, on the other hand, often feels uncomfortable because it removes the escape route. It forces a decision, and growth only happens after a decision is made. Here's a powerful truth. Excuses are commitments in disguise. When you say, I don't have time, you're really saying this is not a priority. When you say, I'll start when things settle down, You're committing to staying where you are. Discipline exposes reality by stripping away the language and focusing on action. It doesn't argue, it executes. Another hook to challenge perspective. Excuses negotiate with weakness. Discipline aligns with destiny. Excuses ask, what can I avoid today? Discipline asks, what must be done regardless of how I feel? That question alone separates high performers from chronic starters. Discipline does not wait for perfect conditions because perfect conditions never arrive. It moves forward while conditions are imperfect. Excuses delay growth because they keep decisions emotional. Discipline removes emotion from execution. When something is non-negotiable, there is no internal debate. The decision is already made. That's why disciplined people move faster. They don't waste energy arguing with themselves. Indecision is exhausting. Discipline is efficient. Here's a hook that hits hard. The longer you delay a decision, the more power you give to fear. Fear thrives in hesitation. Excuses give fear more time to speak, more space to grow, and more authority to lead. Discipline cuts fear off by acting before fear finishes its sentence. People often think discipline is about force, but it's actually about structure. Discipline creates rules so excuses don't get a vote. You don't rely on willpower, you rely on systems. When your actions are system-driven, excuses become irrelevant. You don't ask yourself if you feel like doing the work, you already decided that the work gets done. Another hook worth remembering, excuses explain the past, discipline builds the future. Explaining why you didn't act may protect your ego, but it never advances your position. Discipline doesn't protect pride, it produces progress. And progress over time eliminates the need for excuses altogether. Excuses also distort identity. The more excuses you make, the more you begin to see yourself as someone who reacts instead of leads. Discipline reshapes identity by reinforcing trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, confidence increases. Confidence doesn't come from hype, it comes from kept commitments. Here's a final hook to anchor this idea. Excuses keep options open. Discipline closes the door and moves forward. And growth only happens after the door is closed. When excuses end, clarity begins. When clarity begins, momentum follows. Discipline decides, so results don't have to wait. Most people are waiting for a breakthrough, not realizing that breakthroughs are built from small, disciplined actions repeated over time. They are looking for dramatic moments while ignoring daily moments. But success is rarely loud in the beginning. It grows quietly, almost invisibly through consistency. Here's a hook that reframes success. Massive results are rarely the product of massive effort. They are the product of small effort done without interruption. Small disciplined actions matter because time multiplies what you repeat. One focused hour every day will outperform 10 scattered hours once a week. The difference is not intensity, it is consistency. Discipline turns ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes by allowing time to compound them. What feels insignificant today becomes undeniable tomorrow. That is the power most people underestimate. Here's another hook that challenges thinking. What you do daily trains your future. Every small action is either reinforcing progress or rehearsing delay. There is no neutral habit. The smallest decisions, what you read, what you practice, what you ignore, are shaping the direction of your life. Discipline is simply choosing to align those small decisions with long-term outcomes. People often quit because they don't see immediate results. But small disciplined actions are not designed to impress you quickly. They are designed to transform you gradually. Growth happens before evidence appears. Discipline requires faith in the process. You keep showing up even when the scoreboard hasn't changed because you understand that consistency is working beneath the surface. Here's a powerful hook. Consistency is invisible before it is inevitable. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Skills are being sharpened. Confidence is being built. Identity is being reinforced. And when results finally appear, they seem sudden to everyone else, but you know they were earned quietly. Small actions also reduce resistance. When a task feels overwhelming, discipline breaks it down. You don't conquer the mountain in one step, you take the next step. Small wins create momentum. Momentum builds belief. Belief fuels further discipline. This is how progress sustains itself without burnout. Another hook worth remembering, you don't rise to big goals, you fall to daily habits. Big goals provide direction, but daily habits determine destination. Discipline turns goals into systems. Systems remove reliance on motivation and replace it with structure. When the system is in place, progress becomes automatic. The danger of ignoring small actions is that neglect also compounds. Skip practice, postpone learning, and inconsistent effort don't seem costly at first, but over time they create gaps. Gaps in skill, confidence, and opportunity. Time magnifies those gaps just as surely as it magnifies discipline. Here's another hook that cuts through illusion. Small excuses create big delays. Waiting for the right time to start small habits is one of the most common ways people stay stuck. Discipline starts where you are with what you have and improves as you go. Small disciplined actions also shape identity. You don't just get results, you become someone who shows up. And identity is powerful. When you see yourself as disciplined, consistent action becomes natural instead of force. Over time, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like alignment. What looks small in the moment becomes significant through repetition. The daily choice to act, to practice, to improve, even slightly, creates momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. Time doesn't respond to what you intend to do. It responds to what you consistently do. Every decision you make is either expanding your options or quietly taking them away. Most people don't notice options disappearing because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, almost politely. Undisciplined living doesn't collapse your life overnight, it shrinks it inch by inch. Here's a hook that forces awareness. Lack of discipline doesn't just delay success, it deletes possibilities. When discipline is absent, time begins to narrow your choices. Missed deadlines reduce trust. Inconsistent effort limits growth. Poor habits restrict energy, health, and focus. Each undisciplined action seems small, but together they form boundaries around your life. And one day you look around and realize you didn't hit a wall. You built one. Here's another hook that challenges comfort. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's having options when it matters. Undisciplined people chase short-term freedom and lose long-term choice. Disciplined people delay gratification and gain leverage. They can say yes or no from a position of strength because their past discipline created margin. Think about finances, for example. Discipline creates savings, skills, and strategy. Undisciplined creates urgency and dependence. When money is tight, options shrink. You take what you can get instead of what aligns with your values. That's not freedom, that's survival. Discipline protects choice by creating space between you and desperation. The same principle applies to health. Undisciplined habits don't just affect appearance, they affect capacity. Energy drops, focus fades, medical limitations appear. And with each limitation, options reduce. Discipline in health doesn't just add years to life, it adds life to years. It preserves the ability to choose how you live. Here's a hook that cuts through illusion. When you ignore discipline, time decides for you. You don't wake up one day and choose limitation. Limitation arises because of repeated neglect. Discipline is how you stay in control of direction instead of reacting to pressure. Undisciplined living also shrinks professional options. Skills that aren't developed become barriers. Opportunities pass because preparation wasn't there. Discipline keeps you relevant. It keeps you learning. It keeps doors open that close for those who stop growing. Time doesn't reward potential, it rewards preparation. Another powerful hook, options disappear silently before they disappear permanently. People often don't realize what they lost until they need it. Discipline prevents regret by preserving choice ahead of time. It's not about predicting the future, it's about being ready for it. When discipline is present, the opposite happens. Options expand, confidence grows. You're not trapped by circumstances because you invested early. You're not rushed into decisions because you have reserves of skill, money, energy, and trust. Discipline doesn't just create success, it creates flexibility. Undisciplined people often feel busy but powerless. Disciplined people feel focused and free. The difference is control. Discipline gives you control over direction, pace, and outcome. Without it, life becomes reactive, and reaction is the enemy of choice. Here's a final hook to anchor this truth. Discipline today is permission tomorrow. Permission to choose better opportunities. Permission to walk away from what doesn't align. Permission to live with intention instead of urgency. Options don't disappear by accident. They disappear when discipline is absent and time moves forward anyway. Your future is not imaginary. It is under construction every single day. And the materials being used are your daily choices. You don't arrive at a future, you build one. The mistake most people make is believing the future responds to intention. It doesn't. It responds to action. Here's a hook that shifts responsibility instantly. The future is already watching what you do today, not what you plan to do tomorrow. Every decision you make sends a signal forward in time. Small choices speak louder than big promises. What you do when no one is watching becomes the blueprint for who you become. The future doesn't hear your words, it reads your habits. It doesn't care about your goals if your daily behavior contradicts them. Discipline is how you communicate seriousness to the future. Here's another hook that exposes reality. Your future self is either being prepared or being betrayed. There is no middle ground. When you skip the work, postpone the habit, or ignore the discipline you know you need, someone will pay for it later, and that someone is you. Discipline is an act of loyalty to the person you are becoming. Most people think the future is far away, but the future is closer than it feels. It shows up faster than expected, and it arrives without asking if you're ready. Discipline is how you reduce panic when that moment comes. It replaces scrambling with confidence. The disciplined person meets the future with preparation instead of regret. Here's a powerful hook. The future rewards alignment, not ambition. Ambition without discipline is noise. Alignment happens when what you say you want matches what you do daily. Discipline closes the gap between desire and destination. Without it, the future becomes a place you hope for but never reach. Daily choices are powerful because they shape identity. Every disciplined action reinforces the belief that you are someone who follows through. That identity compounds. Confidence doesn't come from hype, it comes from evidence. And evidence is built one disciplined action at a time. The future trusts people who have proven they can be trusted with consistency. Another hook that cuts deep, your future self does not need motivation from you, it needs preparation. Motivation fades. Preparation lasts. The opportunities you want tomorrow require discipline today. Skills don't appear on demand. Strength isn't built overnight. Options don't exist without investment. Discipline is the deposit you make before the withdrawal is possible. People often say they'll get serious later, not realizing later is when discipline becomes more expensive. It costs less to prepare early than to repair late. Discipline compounds quietly, but its absence compounds loudly. When the future arrives and you're not ready, the price is higher and the margin for error is smaller. Here's another hook worth holding on to. The future never argues, it only delivers results. It doesn't debate your reasons. It doesn't negotiate with your excuses. It simply reflects what you repeatedly chose. Discipline makes that reflection something you can respect. Discipline also gives you peace about the future. When you know you are doing the work consistently, anxiety decreases. Fear loses its grip. You're not hoping things work out, you're preparing so they do. Discipline is confidence in action form. Every day is a vote. Not a dramatic one, but a decisive one. A vote for S, strength or weakness, progress or delay, growth or stagnation. Those votes add up, and one day the future counts them. When that moment comes, it won't matter what you intended. It will only matter what you practiced. The future is watching your daily choices closely, because those choices are deciding who shows up when the moment arrives. Discipline is how you make sure that version of you is ready. So let me close with this. If you don't discipline your mornings, your finances, your health, your mindset, and your habits, time will discipline you with regret. And regret is one of the most expensive currencies on earth. Decide today to become disciplined, not when it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because time is always moving. And the question is not, will time pass? The question is, who will you be when it does? Remember this, time punishes the undisciplined, but it rewards the committed. Choose wisely. Your future is watching.